Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this channel. It's Adebusola, and I know I've received a lot of messages from different people about living in Malta when working in Malta as a nurse or as a midwife. And that is exactly why I'm making this introduction video so that you can understand why you can and how you can move to Malta, like especially if you have very low health scores. And I want you to pay attention and listen attentively so that you can gain one or two things. And first of all, I'm going to talk about Malta, Malta itself. Malta itself, I call it the gateway to Europe. Malta is the gateway to Europe. And as you can see in the picture, it's like a naval base. It's a country, well, very small in terms of geographical distance. It's very small. Well, Malta is located officially in the Mediterranean Sea. It's also called the Republic of Malta. It's an island country in the Mediterranean Sea, right in the midst of the Mediterranean Sea. Malta is a beautiful island that is set in the heart of the sea. Often people say they always have all this almost 365 days of sunshine in the year. It's like one of those warm parts in Europe that you can really say, oh, this is really, really warm. That is Malta for you. It has a unique millennial history. It has so many heritage sites. It has sporting and social activity centers. Malta is around 100 kilometers away from mainland Europe. As everyone knows, Ireland is in Europe, UK is in Europe, a lot of countries are in Europe. Malta is one of them because Malta is under the European Union. And Malta International Airport actually offers affordable access through connections to most major cities in Europe and beyond. Like if you've tried to get into this country in Europe for whatever reason and it's becoming extremely difficult, you could actually go through Malta. You could go through Malta and then maybe later on decide if you're going to settle down in that country or if you are going to change your mind. So Malta is as the gateway to Europe. As I mentioned, English is one of the official languages in Malta, and they also speak Maltese, because it's within the EU community. So Malta actually attracts a lot of students, overseas students, nurses, doctors, midwives, business people, especially and most especially tourists around the globe every single year. So it's a very good attractive center because it's in Europe. It's in Europe. That is why people go through Malta. And I'm going to talk about the geography of Malta as well, so that you can understand what Malta is about. And then I'm going to talk about how you can work, how you can study in Malta as well. And I'm going to talk about family reunification to Malta. So I want you to pay attention. In terms of geography, Malta is actually between Italy and Libya. Most times they consider Malta part of Southern Europe. And it's like south of Italy, it's east of Tunisia, and north of Libya. Like I mentioned, official languages are Maltese and English. And well, according to research, they always say that some Maltese nationals, they also speak Italian language as well. They also speak Italian language. And because it's located in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea, it's also a naval base as well. The Navy, they get trained, they get they established their base in Malta as well. And then I'm going to talk about the population of Malta so that you can understand and make a decision, like if you want to stay in Malta or if you want to keep looking and keep thinking about it. So in terms of population, Malta is actually in the top 10 most densely populated countries in the world. Most densely populated countries in the world. It's the world's 10th smallest country in area. It's very, very small. World's 10th smallest in terms of area. and fourth most densely populated sovereign country. So it's actually densely populated. There's a lot of people. Someone said Malta has over 300,000 cars registered for 450,000 population. So the population of Malta is actually around 500,000, and let me just say a little above that, 516,000. And it's, in terms of area, it's a small country, and that is why it's very densely populated, because it's an island. At the same time, about the capital city of Malta, the capital city of Malta, the capital city of Malta is Valletta. So Valletta is one of the smallest national capital in the European Union in terms of area, in terms of population. It's very, very small. Valletta was the first ever planned city in Europe, and increasingly it's been called a city state at the moment. It's been called a city state at the moment. And then in terms of independence, Malta actually gained independence in 1964 from the United Kingdom. And Queen Elizabeth is also the late Queen Elizabeth is also the Queen of Malta. Recently, Queen Elizabeth passed away. The country became a republic in 1974, and it's a member of the Commonwealth of Nations and member of the United Nations since its independence, and actually joined the European Union in 2004. So it joined the European Union in 2004. So Malta is under the EU. Like if you're looking to travel to a country in Europe, Malta might be one of the countries you want to look at and think about as well. In terms of religion, previously the religion used to be Islamic, but at the moment, the state religion is Catholicism, which is Catholics. So that is the government have religious freedom, like they guarantee freedom of conscience, freedom of religious worship. You can practice whatever you do from your home country, but definitely the religion, most of them, they are mostly Catholics in Malta. And they all say that in Malta they have 359 churches. That's almost one church for each day of the year. So Malta has over 350 churches. That is about Malta for you to know about. And in terms of economy of Malta is heavily, it's reliant on tourism, as you can see in the picture. So many people, they travel up and down, they go into the country because it's in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea, like I mentioned, and it has a very warm climate compared to anywhere in Europe. Because most countries in Europe, they have freezing temperatures. Malta doesn't experience things like that. So it has numerous recreational areas. It has architectural monuments. It has temples. Actually, the reports say that the temples in Malta, they are the oldest freestanding buildings in the world. So that's why people, they travel to Malta. They really want to see those temples. They really want to see what tourism is like in Malta. Now, to the main thing of the day, my main introduction of the day. Why work in Malta as a midwife or as a nurse? Why work in Malta why would you choose Malta? Well, I'm still going to talk about this later on. I'm still going to talk about that later on. Well, in terms of peace and security, Malta is known as the one of the most peaceful countries to live and work in. It's known as one of the peaceful countries to live and work in. It's opened up for recruiting nurses and professionals from India, from Asia, from Africa since 2018. Since 2018, and nurses in Malta actually have a range of options to choose from. They could choose from working in government hospitals. They could choose from working in private hospitals or working in nursing homes or elderly healthcare centers. So they have attractive salaries and benefits. But Malta is actually one of the top destinations to start a great nursing career. So Malta is a very good place to start from. Like if you're looking to move into Europe, Malta is a very good place to begin in. Now, about the demand for nurses in Malta, well, I would say that Malta lost hundreds of nurses to the UK in the last few years, UK and Ireland basically. And Malta lost so many nurses to them because recruitment agencies, they see Malta as part of Europe, and you are considered a great asset if you already have experience in Malta before if you want to then cross over to the UK or cross over to the Ireland. In fact, some recruiters are actually recruiting actively for Malta at the moment because it's part of Europe as well. And I'm still going to talk about the differences, like if you want to move from Malta to Europe, maybe to UK or to Ireland, things that you should consider later on. And Malta faces massive exodus of foreign nurses, just as anywhere else in Europe. They know that employers, they know that people relocating to Malta, especially nurses, they gain invaluable experience while working in those hospitals. And that's why they want to establish a base to actually relocate nurses from Malta to other parts of Europe, And that is it at the moment. There is one of the largest home for the elderly in Malta, that's St. Vincent de Paul residents. According to reports anyway, so many foreign nurses are actually working in that hospital, and also in in government facilities and in private homes as well. For example, in the UK, nurses are offered a starting basic salary of maybe about £32,000 or something like that. And for diploma nurses in Malta, they receive about 18,700 euros, or over 20,000 for degree nurses. Well, in terms of Malta, I'm going to talk about more about the difference, because Malta they have extremely low scores, and their process is actually easier. And there's no need to do anything like CBT, and the health scores are extremely low. I'm still going to talk about the proof of English later on. That is why nurses can actually choose to come over to Malta, and then later on they could cross to the UK or they could cross to Ireland. And another thing is that for Malta, as a nurse or as a midwife, you can move to Malta by two different pathways. You can move to Malta by two different pathways. And on UK or Ireland, or Malta, like I mentioned, in Ireland, the starting salary is about 37,000 euros and above. And it depends on your practice as well. It depends on the practice. With experience, it could go up to 40,000 euros or even more, or to over 50,000 euros. And people in positions like director of nursing, they should be earning nothing around 80,000 euros annually. So that is it basically in Malta. Even though the salary is a bit lower, the cost of living in Malta is extremely low as well. It's more affordable than anywhere else in Europe, just to let you know. And another thing, as I mentioned, there are two pathways to move into Malta. If you want to move into Malta as a nurse or as a midwife, you can either go through the study pathway or you go through the work pathway. You can go through study pathway and you go through the work pathway. I'm going to talk about the study pathway first. I'm going to talk about that first. Well, recently, Republic of Malta has gained ranks, and has become one of the top European countries that actually provide high quality education to study abroad aspirants. Like if you want to study abroad, and their universities are they're in the top European universities that people can actually study in. And when you finish from their schools as well, your average salary could increase to like 38,000 euros per year annually. It could increase because the currency in Malta is in euros. So when you study and gain recognition in Malta, your salary can increase up to about 38,000 and more annually. And Malta is one of Europe's best performing economies. It offers graduate employment opportunities. You could be studying in Malta, and then at the same time, employers are already waiting for you. Employers are already waiting for you. Employability makes it so much exciting and makes it a unique experience for all students. I'm going to look at 3 universities that recruits from overseas, I mean for study, into details. I'm going to tell you about them in details. For example, the first one here is University of Malta. It's a public university, and they run this course, which is bridging program, adaptation program for international nurses. The duration of the course is 6 months. When applying for that course, you have to pay 150 euros for application. Eventually, when you get your offer letter, you have to pay the tuition fee of 5,400 euros. The course only lasts for 4 months, and entry requirements, you have to have your diploma or your degree or even a postgraduate degree as well. Definitely your course, your transcript must show that you have at least 1,533 theoretical hours and 2,300 clinical hours during your studies. When you calculate your clinical hours and your theoretical hours in your transcript, that should be more than that value they have mentioned. And another thing is, in terms of experience, you'll be showing reference documents, and you should have your proof of English. For University of Malta Public Hospital, public university, you need your IELTS results, you need an overall of 6, and with 6 in writing, six is the least in writing. You could have 7, 7.5, that's it, but your writing shouldn't be less than 6. Your overall shouldn't be less than 6. Then in other modules like speaking, reading, listening, you can have 5.5. You can have at least 5.5, but definitely your writing should be 6. And for OET, if you are doing OET, to do that adaptation program in Malta, for your speaking, you should have at least a B in speaking. You should have at least a B in speaking. But in reading, listening, and writing, you can have C+. You can have C+. So University of Malta, they do this certificate of adaptation program for you overseas nurses, and the goal is that once that student successfully completes that 4 months program, that student becomes eligible to apply for registration as a nurse with the Maltese Council of Nurses and Midwives. So automatically becomes eligible, and the students can be presented with the option to travel to any other country in Europe to use that same certificate to work in any other country in Europe. So, and eventually, if you decide to stay in Malta, after 5 years as a registered nurse in Malta, you can apply for the EU Blue Card, which is similar to the green card in the US, and get your citizenship. Basically, that is what that is about anyway. And it's only 1 semester. It's a full-time program that has 30 ECTS credits. And that program is also offered on a part-time basis, but that's not advisable anyway, because you have to leave your home country and go and take that program in Malta. It's just a bridging program between your qualifications and European qualifications, so that you can be eligible straight away without any other thing. So the adaptation program is the standard. You don't need to do any other exam. You don't just need to enroll for that program and meet up with all the requirements to get enrollment. They only take admissions twice in a year, which is in October. I think the next one should be in March or thereabouts. And the admission for October is currently on at the moment. And at the same time, I'm going to talk about another university in Malta, which is MCASD. It's a public university as well. They also offer this bridging adaptation program for international nurses that you can actually be at home and make sure that you meet up with all the requirements. You would be but the duration for this MCASD university is 6 months. At University of Malta is 4 months, so you would be paying the same application fees, which is 150 euros, and the tuition fee of 5,400 euros as well. And they have an intake in April. So if you have diploma in nursing or in midwifery, that diploma needs to be at least 3 years program, which is your basic division, your basic program. Or if you have a degree or postgraduate degree, definitely that transcript you are showing as a proof of your training must have at least 1,533 theory hours and 2,300 clinical hours during your studies. And the thing is, you will be showing a reference document, and you should have your HALT score as well. But with this university, you need an overall score of 6. You need an overall score of 6 and at least 6 in others as well. Speaking, you need a B, and for OET, reading, listening, and writing, you need your C+. You need your C+. Basically, you would be doing courses like quality assurance in health and social care. You would be doing ethical issues and decision making. You would be doing intermediate English. You would be doing gerontology. You would be doing mental health. You would be doing multidisciplinary approaches in health and social care, and quality assurance as work-based training in health science. You would be doing that. And the goal is that once that's overseas nurse successfully completes that 6 month program, he or she also becomes eligible to apply for registration, as an overseas, to apply for registration with the Maltese Council of Nurses and Midwives. And the students will also be presented with an option to travel to any country in Europe. You can decide to go to anywhere in Europe and use that same certificate. It's acceptable all over Europe. It's acceptable all over Europe. But definitely, if you are showing a degree program, your degree program should have at least 2,300 hours of theory covered. At least 2,300 hours of theory covered. And that's it, basically. Most of the schools, what they do is once you get your offer of employment, once you have met up with all the requirements, and once you have your offer of employment, they will be helping you out with accommodation. There are online sites you could go and book in your accommodation before you arrive. And the accommodation is actually affordable. It's actually affordable as well, ranging from 17 euros to about 25 euros per night or something like that. So it depends on the number of rooms, and it depends on the location. And arrival as well, they might assist you in applying for an e-residence card to cover the duration of your stay. And once you complete that program, you can extend your residence permit. I'm going to talk about a private university now in Malta that is also offering the same thing, which is IDEA Academy. IDEA Academy, private university. They offer BSc nursing top-up program. Like if you have diploma in your home country and you want to do the degree in Europe, the course type is like a pathway for nursing registration for international nurses, but the duration of the course is only 1 year. You would get MQF level 6. They only takes people in March. So it will last for it's a 1 year program, and the tuition fee for that would be 6,000 euros. So if you have nursing and midwifery diploma, that is also for you as well. English language requirements, you need your 6.0 HALT scores, at least 6.0. You need your 6.0 at least. And on the courses you would be doing for that program: contemporary issues in nursing, work psychology, role of the nurse as an educator. You would be doing introduction to research methods. You would be doing mental health, evidence-based practices in nursing, introduction to managing teams, and there would be dissertation in that program as well. So, and immediately afterwards, you can apply for registration with Malta Nursing Council, can apply with registration with Malta Nursing Council. So like I mentioned on the English requirement, you need your HALT academic, all of the things I've been mentioning is only HALT academic, and overall of 6. And your OET speaking at least B in speaking, and then listening, writing, and reading can be C+, as well. And you should follow your guidelines as much as possible. And then when you receive your license, you can use that license anywhere in Europe to work as an EU registered nurse. You can or registered midwife. So you can use that as well. Now I'm going to move to step-by-step admission and the visa process. This is just an introduction series, like I mentioned. First thing you're going to be doing is submit application alongside all other certificates and meet up with all the requirements that they need, and attach all the application forms. Then you pay the application fees. Most of them are 150 euros. Like I mentioned, you would be receiving your offer letter afterwards while you're still in your home country. When you receive the offer letter, you would have to pay the tuition fees. You would have to pay the tuition fee of that program, because when you have received the acceptance letter and the payment receipt, with that acceptance letter and the payment receipt, you can use that to apply for visa immediately. You can use that to apply for visa immediately. And once the course now gets started, once you come into Malta, you can take an appointment with the nursing council, submit all the required documents, attend an interview with the council, and when you pass that, your registration certificate would be issued, which is accepted across all countries in the European Union, which is accepted in the European Union. So make sure you understand that as well. And another thing on the Maltese health and support services, I've mentioned this previously. They have a lot of health systems, they have pharmacies, they have private health clinics, they have private hospitals that accept personal insurance policies to cover costs of medical professionals and services. Well, healthcare facilities in Malta are of very high standards, and they are easily accessible with a range of public and private facilities. Even most of their treatment, if you have European citizenship, your cost of treatment would be free. But definitely, if you are coming from outside and overseas, coming from outside the European Union, you would need an international health insurance to cover that period of your stay in Malta. You would need an insurance cover. You would need insurance to cover your period of stay. And at the same time, students are always advised, if you're studying, to purchase or apply for health insurance cover in line with the requirements for the e-residence permit. It has to be in line with their requirements as well. If you want to get through that, they have a lot of hospitals. Mater D is a state-funded public hospital. It's away from the universities of MCASD campus. It's an acute general teaching hospital, and they open 24 hours a day. People could report problems in that. They have polyclinics, they have healthcare centers, they have pharmacies, they are a private clinic, they have private hospitals, a number of them. And students that are seeking medical services might be charged and expected to pay for their services. That is why you need your insurance in case you fall sick while you have traveled. If you suffer from any chronic health condition that requires medication, you should bring sufficient supplies of those prescribed medicines with you before you travel, and make sure you get your doctor's prescription in case of anything, because they might want to ask you why you're in possession of such medicines. And in Malta, because most drugs in Malta requires physician's prescription before you can even purchase that from the pharmacy. So you need to be aware of that as well. So if you are using spectacles, if you're using contact lenses, you should bring your optician's prescription with you. You should bring that with you. Now I'm going to talk about the English language requirement. The English language requirement, academic IELTS should be valid for 2 years. They accept TOEFL, IBT. It should be valid for 2 years as well. For TOEFL, people should have 61, score of 61, overall 61, and in writing at least 17, in writing at least. And at the same time, they accept academic IELTS, like I mentioned, at least six in each, and then at least 5.5 like I mentioned previously, and they accept Cambridge certificates as well. It's accepted for overseas nurses and midwives. OET as well. OET, at least grade B in speaking and C plus in others. And international English is also accepted. Student English test is also accepted. ISET is also accepted in Malta. That is also accepted in Malta. So people need to know that. Everyone needs to know that as well. Make sure you meet up with your English language requirement. Your English language requirement shouldn't go below 5.5 for the criterias they have listed. But these countries are exempted from the English language requirement, at least applicants who are nationals of English-speaking countries or who have completed their secondary education certificate in the same country, or applicants who successfully completed a full degree at a recognized higher education institution from such countries are exempted from presenting such certificates, like people from Australia, from Canada, Dominica, Grenada, Guyana, Jamaica, New Zealand, Ireland, and a lot more. The Bahamas, Belize, Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Trinidad and Tobago, UK, USA, and Barbados, countries like that. So non-Canadian nationals presenting a degree from that was obtained in Canada, they are required to provide proof that that degree was actually taught and assessed in English and not in French. They are required to provide proof like that. And most of the campuses for studying in Malta, the candidates would be booking for 139 nights at least 139 nights, at least, from, because the first one, your program could be 4 months, it could be 6 months, it could be 1 full year. So have that in mind. You would be booking, sometimes the housing costs 17 euros per night, or it could go up to 23 euros per night. It depends on the rooms. There are sites for booking the accommodation with each school, and they would help you with that before you come in. Then at the same time, I'm going to talk about the living cost in Malta. In Malta, well, like I mentioned, is affordable compared to anywhere in Europe. The currency is euros. The estimated guide, like if you are studying in Malta, if you are staying for 3 months or 4 months at least, on your meals, you should get something like 250 euros on the meals you would be taking during that period. On mobile and Wi-Fi, you should get something like 30 euros. On local transport during that 4 months duration, have 40 euros at hand on local transport. On leisure activities, just in case you have to do this, you have to subscribe to this, you have to subscribe to that, get 200 euros as well. On standby. On laundry for those 4 months, get at least 30 euros. On electricity and water, get at least 50 euros. And on shared accommodation, just in case, get 500 euros ready. And in total, you would need at least 1,100 euros to cover you for a period of 4 months, pending the time you get your registration. Successful in Malta. So that is it basically. And another thing is that Malta would need to recognize your diploma. Like if you want to study, if you're going through the study pathway, or if you're going through the work pathway, your diploma or your degree needs to be recognized, especially if it's not from EU. If it's not from Europe, it would have to be recognized, and there's an appropriate authority for doing that. There's a competent body that doing that would have to assess all your qualifications, and you would be paying as well. You would be paying for that as well. And another thing is that, now I'm going to talk about the work pathway. If you want to work in and just get registered directly in Malta, for internationally educated nurses who apply for bridging courses, well, they should in your home country, you should have at least completed a 3-year full-time program, either in nursing or in midwifery. And they're going to evaluate the course content against EU directives. And at the same time, the work pathway is a 6 months process. Just to let you know, it's around six to take around 6 months. If you can get everything ready, you would need your proof of active registration with a professional regulatory body in your home country. That is your verification of license from your nursing council in your home country. You would need that as one of your evidences, and you would need your qualifications to be evaluated and recognized. You will need that to be evaluated and recognized as well. And just to let you know a few bits on qualifications, if you are a diploma holder, like you have diploma in nursing or diploma in midwifery, whatever your 3-year program is, you would need at least a minimum of 2 years experience in that department. You will need at least 2 years experience before you can register to the Maltese Registration Council, Nursing and Midwifery Council. And for this purpose, the age limit is 45 years. The age limit is 45 years. For the nursing registration purpose, they will need at least IELTS academic score of 6 in all, at least 6 in everything. For the study, you'll have 5.5 in a few ones, and but definitely you need all 6 for registration. If you submit an OET results, you would need B in speaking and then C plus in others. You would need C plus in others. And that is it. That for diploma holder. If you are a degree holder, you would need, your degree, definitely, you would need a minimum of 2 years experience. You would need, the age limit is 45 years, and you would need IELTS score of 6 in all modules. You will need OET score of B in speaking and C plus in all others. You will need C plus in all others. Make sure that you are mindful of that as well. And then I'm going to talk about the benefits for pursuing nursing career and study pathway as well. Well, I would say that, first of all, Malta is an English-speaking country. Malta is an English-speaking country, which makes it easier. You can communicate and people can really hear you as well. It has amazing climate. It has 10 months of summer, unlike other parts of Europe that has only one, that has about a few weeks of summer. Let me put it that way. Even the summer could be freezing. And Malta is one of the richest countries. And as a student, you are allowed, while still doing your adaptation, you are allowed to work 20 hours every week. You are allowed to work 20 hours. So you can work and be studying to raise other funds for yourself. And you have the chance, an opportunity to study in one of the top universities of the world. And after course completion, you have the opportunity to stay back. Instead of completing maybe a program, you go for masters in the UK, you don't get a job, you have to go back to your country, apply from your home country, and then come back later on. No, but in Malta, you have stay back options to get registered or to get a job. You have possibilities of getting your citizenship, which is the PR, and that's after working 5 years. And another thing, technically and professionally, you have opportunity to develop. You get exposed to a different culture, and getting registered as a nurse is even one of the benefits. And you have opportunities after your registration. You could use that same registration to work in any other EU nation. You could use that, and you have opportunity to apply directly in Ireland or in UK, or after your work experience in Malta, and I'm going to explain that as well. And about the stay back options in Malta as an international student doing adaptation course program. Like I mentioned, you are going to be allowed to work like 15 to 20 hours a week after completing the 90 days and post completion of the course. So you will, post completion of the course, you would be able to extend your stay period in Malta for 6 months to search for work. So within that 6 months, you would be able to get an offer of employment, and you would be able to stay back as well. And now on UK, I'm just going to emphasize this one more time. I think I mentioned that before. UK, Ireland, or Malta. And well, once the applicant gains, once you as a person, when you start working in Malta, or once you have gained a 1 year experience as a registered nurse in Malta, for UK, after 1 year experience, you can apply directly to the UK Nursing Council, and you're not going to do IELTS or OET anymore. It's waived off with 1 year experience in Malta to get into the UK. For Ireland, you would have to have worked at least 3 years in a European country or an English-speaking country and get a proof from your employer, a letter from your employer that you've worked in that facility for at least you've been working for at least 3 years. You would need proofs for that, letters for that. But if you're going into the UK from Malta, even though your IELTS or OET is going to be waived off, you would have to still do your CBT and do your Husky exams. You would have to do your CBT and do your Husky exams. If you're coming into Ireland after 3 years, you don't need your CBT, you don't need IELTS or OET. You just need a letter from your employer that you've been working for as long as 3 years in that country, but you might and then your application is going to get provisionally recognized. You don't need any OSCE, you don't need CBT as well. And that's for Ireland. And another thing is that, well, in Europe, it's good if you want to go, because Malta is actually one of, in the Schengen areas, you could use that qualification to go anywhere in Europe, which is really, really good, and gets good pay as well. And on the question that a lot of people have been asking me online on family reunification to Malta, I'm going to explain that now. First of all, non-European citizens, they must apply for family reunification before they can join a family member who is living in Malta. It means at the beginning, you can't actually go with your family at the beginning, and someone would have to go first. Which is the person that is taking up the job, or the person that is studying in Malta. And for the family, the spouse has to be over 21 years of age, who is legally married to a partner staying in Malta, can apply for family reunification. Family reunification visa. The minor child, biological or adopted, and your parents is living in Malta, it's either you're adopted or either you're the biologic child of that parent, you can also apply for family reunification family visa. And an adult child above 18 years as well, either adopted or biologic, who is financially dependent on that parent living in Malta, can also apply for family visa to Malta. And basically, if you're a citizen from a country outside EU, you would need to apply for Malta family visa, and you must meet up with all the requirements as well. When you apply, and then eventually when that visa is approved and the family comes in, and the family, they would have to apply for residence permit in Malta, and they have to pay a fee of 27 euros. They have to pay a fee of 27 euros. But for the visa cost in the home country, family visa cost, it costs about 100 euros. Well, there might be processing fees at the embassies in the local country. And at the same time, on the processing time for Malta family visa, the processing time for that is a maximum of 9 months. Which is the family visa. After that, the family can enter Malta, the child or the spouse can enter Malta and then apply for a residence permit which is renewed yearly according to regulations anyway. And then for visa processing, the visa itself might take at the embassy in the country of residence, it might take another additional 2 weeks, additional 2 weeks, like if someone is applying for national visa or something. So, but for the family visa, it's processed max in within 9 months. Processed max within 9 months. Then, if someone asks that, how long can I stay in Malta with a family visa? Well, the visa itself is issued for 1 year. That can be renewed and extended for as long as possible. With a family visa in Malta, you can work, you can have your own business, and you can even study. You can even do whatever you want to do. You can do whatever you want to do. And basically, that is about family reunification to Malta. Now, having listened to everything I've been explaining to the tutorial, if you now decide that you want to leave, you want to work, you want to study in Malta, especially if you're a nurse or if you're a midwife, or you're thinking, oh, maybe European applications are becoming too difficult, or and you think, oh, you want to go through Malta pathway, you want to use the Malta pathway and go through Malta, get your qualifications recognized, or go or apply directly for the adaptation program, because that offer letter actually takes a few days. After all your documents might have been corrected and submitted accordingly, you will get the offer letter within a few days. After that, you can make the payment of the tuition. With the payment and confirmation of the tuition fees, you can proceed to apply for visa and then book your accommodation before you hop on the flight. So if you need mentoring in that regards, the link is in red coming up on your screen. That's www.adebusolaowokole.com/mentoring. There's one of the links that says Malta, study or work in Malta. You can use that if you need help with documentation reviews, if you need help with submission of applications or things like that, or if you think, oh, you just don't want to do this alone and you just need somebody to guide you step by step, someone experienced, so that you don't make mistakes. That is the link. That is the link on your screen. And that is it about Malta. That is it about Malta. So basically, make your decision. Malta is a good country to work in, to live in. It's very peaceful. It has summer, like almost 10 months of summer. And Malta is a good country to work in. It gives you access to all of Europe. If you can get settled in Malta first, move your family, and then you gain access to all of Europe. If you can get that European citizenship card in Malta as well, you have access, you have an edge to all of Europe. So make your decision and let me know what you think in the comments, or you can reach out via the mentoring link. Fill the mentoring form, show your interest. It's paid mentoring, definitely. You will need to send your proof of payment for that. Thank you so much for listening. This is Adebusola Owokole. Thanks a million. It is well. See you in the next video. Don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to share that. Don't forget to give a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to turn on your notification bell so that you don't miss any of my updates. And see you in the next video. Thank you so much. Thanks a million, and bye.